Welcome to another tutorial by Mr. Walmsley. This tutorial we're going to look at the next steps in Excel, mainly looking at creating a 3-sheet spreadsheet to monitor your balance, income and expenditure while you're at home. You'll be making use of the following: multiplication, sum, auto date and some conditional formatting. Now, from last week's lesson, just getting used to using cells and colouring cells and some of the basic parts of Excel. This week we're going to look at the main power of Excel. The first thing is to log yourself into Office 365, so that's the website office.com, and to sign in using your sign-in credentials. First thing we're going to do, as we did last week, is to find your OneNote book. So I'll click on OneNote, and you need to select your book, which should appear here if you've used it. If you can't see it, make sure that you go to class books and you'll see all of your class books down here. So this is an example book here. I'm just going to pick the first person, so it's Alexander Davison. And the first thing you need to do is to select your name, and then we are in Introduction to Excel. And last week's page was Introduction to Excel, and this week's page is Excel Operations. So in Excel Operations there'll be a repetition of the tasks that you'll be completing in today's lesson, with some additional questions which you will need to answer. So the first thing you need to do is, there are 3 questions to answer, so you just need to type your response next to each question. Once you've answered all 3 questions, we're going to move on to the next step. So next step, by leaving your OneNote book open, we're going to go back to your Office 365 home. So we can get to it from here, App Launcher, Office 365, and we're going to need to open up Excel. So here's Excel, so we're going to click on Excel. Now you notice you've got Excel and your book open. First thing to do is to create a new blank workbook. The first thing we're going to do is to look at a few things we need to make sure that we can do. First of all, I'm going to go up here to where it says Book 3, and I'm going to rename it. So I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to enter Excel Basic Functions. And this is what the book is going to be called. This is how we change any book name. The next thing to do is we're going to create 3 sheets to this workbook. So down here we can see our sheets. Now sheets are just like pages in a book. This Excel forms the book, and you can divide up your book into different sheets. We've got 1 sheet already which is created by default. We're going to create 2 more sheets by clicking on this little plus button here. 1, 2. So now we've got 3 sheets. First thing is to rename these sheets accordingly. Each sheet will form part of the tasks for today's lesson. So by double clicking, I can now change the sheet name. The first one is going to be called Income. This first task, we're going to create a simple table which is going to contain any work or tasks that you would do at home, how many hours you're going to spend on that particular task, and for today's purposes we're going to pay yourself to do these tasks. Now you may get paid by your parents or your carers or anyone else at home, but we're going to make some up. This way it makes it a bit of fun, and you can pay yourself in doing simple school tasks. So let's begin. So the first thing, we're going to go ahead and we're going to click in B2, and we're going to type in work or task. So again, this table is in the PowerPoint for this week. Again, we need to make this piece of text fit into our box, so I'm going to extend this box here by clicking in the middle. Next one, number of hours. Again, we need to stretch this out. Next thing, hourly wage. This is where we get to pay ourselves. And the last one is going to be total. Now you notice that I've been manually adjusting them. You can, as a little trick, double click the line. This automatically adjusts each of the cells to fit whatever is in the boxes. So instead of moving it manually like you would, if you double click, you can see that the cell automatically adjusts itself. Double click, and double click. So what we're going to add is 7 tasks. I'm going to complete it for 2 of these, and you can go ahead. So each task, let's add the first task. Mine is just going to be setting work for students. Again, I'm not going to extend this box to fit this in. We're going to use something called wrap text. So if I click on the cell, it's spilling out of the cell. I'm going to go up here to wrap text. I'm going to wrap the text around, and that moves it into its own little box. Number of hours, I spend about 2 hours doing this. And hourly wage, I'm going to pay myself £20 an hour. And then we'll come back to this last box here. So again, I always want you to add 7 tasks. So my next one would be marking work. And again, wrap text, so it fits. Number of hours, 2 hours. Hourly wage, I'd like to say £25 an hour for this one. And we'll come back to this one here. Now, we need to make this into a table. And we can do this by formatting it as a table. By formatting it as a table, we can make our table look nice and pretty by using the power of Excel. So the first thing I'm going to do is select my table. You're going to have more than this. You're going to have 7. Select the table, and up here it says format as table. That's it, format as table. And then we can pick a style. I like blue, so I'm going to go for one of these blue ones here. So let's go for this one here. Now this next box here is asking me, does my table have a header? A header is a posh word for a title. Now my table does have titles at the top, so I'm going to click OK. And there we can see my Excel has formatted my table lovely and neatly. Again, a bit more formatting. I'm going to mention this once. Please use this with all your tables. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these boxes here. This number down here, it's a bit small, I can't read it very easily, so I'm going to set it to the center. And notice it's down at the bottom here. You can move this to the middle of the box. So I move all my numbers to the middles of the box. So you need to add your next 7 tasks. Once you're done, let's look at using the multiplication tool. The multiplication tool works by adding up cells. It's just like a calculator. Excel is used for calculating sums. So I'm clicking total, and I'm going to start off my formula with an equals. All formulas start in Excel using equals. So equals, I'm going to click this cell, and then I'm going to add it, so the plus button, to this cell. C3 plus D3. We don't want to plus, we want to multiply. I do apologise. Multiply. And then we're going to hit the enter key, and it does the multiplication for me. Now notice what Excel has done. It automatically adds this formula into the whole table. So for instance, if we were to change any of these numbers, say I set work for 4 hours, if I change the 4, notice my sum automatically changes. If we change my hourly wage, say to £12.50, again it's going to automatically adjust all my values as you work through the table. So once you do it for one cell at the top, it will replicate it all the way down. Now if it doesn't do that, because you haven't formatted it as a table, that's always very important to make sure you format as a table. So that should be your first table done. You need to screenshot this into your OneNote. So let's go ahead and do that so that we can repeat that for the next tasks. So we're going to go back into our OneNote. First thing we're going to do, make sure we're on the right page, and we're going to go down to our task 1. We're going to screenshot into here. Now if you're on a PC, you can use the combination of keys of, you can use the Windows key and Shift, and that brings up a little dialog box to take a screen clipping, so you can screen clip your screen. If you haven't got a PC and you're on an iPad, you can use the screenshot button. So by pushing the power and the menu button, it will take a screenshot. Once you've taken your screenshot, you're going to go back into your OneNote, and on this selection here, now you can either insert a picture, so this will be either from your camera roll on an iPad or from a file that you may have saved as the picture, or on a PC you can paste it in. So we're going to copy and paste it into your OneNote, and there it is there. So each time we complete a task today, you need to screenshot it into your OneNotes. The second task today is to create an expenditure sheet. So with our second sheet, we double click and we're going to rename this expenditure. Now this expenditure sheet, we're going to start off by adding expense, and the next column is going to be cost. So the first thing we need to do is to write some expenses in. Just going to make it a bit wider. Expense could be anything that you require to be at home. So for instance, breakfast, morning snack. I'll leave the rest for you to come up with, but you need at least 7 things. You can have more than 7 if you so wish to. Again, it's going out of my box. Let's use the wrap text bottom. And a cost. So my breakfast maybe £1.20, and my morning snack maybe £2. So next thing, as always, is a table. Let's format it as a table. So select your table, format as table, and I'm going to pick again my nice blue colour. Let's try different. Let's do orange. Yes, my table has headers. That's correct because it has titles. Click OK. Again, let's do a bit of formatting. I like to keep all my numbers in the middle, in the centre. And you're going to complete these in this table. The last row in your table, we're going to type total, and in this box here we're going to use the function called sum. This is going to add up all of these numbers in this column. Now we could use the sum function that we saw in the last task, but there is an additional function called sum. So again, all formulas and functions in Excel start with equals, and the function is called sum. So by typing sum, you notice here Excel brings up a list of suggested functions that this could relate to. So I'm going to double click on sum, and it wants all the numbers to add up. So I'm going to add up all of these numbers by selecting them, and then hit the enter key, and there is sum. Again, if we're to add extra numbers in these columns, it would add them to my total. And as you can see, adding new values here adds them onto here, so it's all done automatically. So we need to screenshot this into your OneNote books. So again, task 2, expenditure page. Use whichever method you've used before, so screen clipping, taking a screenshot and adding it, or saving the picture on your iPads, and then using the insert, attach the picture from a file on your iPad. And the last task, again in your PowerPoint, we're going to use this last sheet to do a balance sheet. So again, we're going to click onto this third sheet, double click, and then we're going to use balance sheet. So this balance sheet is going to tally up all our income and minus our expenses, and then we're going to see what balance we have left over. So something that's quite vital at the minute as you're at home using expenses, so your foods and costs of living at home, weighing up against your amount of work or tasks that you're doing and how much you're getting on an hourly wage. So let's begin. Our first one here is income. Next one is expense. And the third one is balance. So this is the overall balance. Again, what we're going to do is, rather than adding the income here from our income page and our expenditure from our expenditure page, we can link them through Excel. So the way we do this, we're going to click into our first income cell here, and we're going to do, again, equals. And now we're going to go to our income page, and then we're going to select the first total here. And then push the enter key. See, it brings it across into our income here. So what we're going to do is we're going to repeat this. Obviously you'll need to repeat it for as many as you have to bring in all your income. So let's repeat it for expense. So equals, I'm going to my expenditure, and then I click on my first expenditure and push the enter key, and there is my expense here. And then we're going to come to this balance later in this tutorial. So once you've added all your incomes and your expenses, we then need to format as a table. Again, something really useful that you should do. So I'm going to select my table, and then I'm going to go to format as table. Let's pick a different one. Let's go for green. Does my table have headers? Yes, it does. Mine has titles. Okay. There it's there, formatted. So you should have all your incomes, your expenses, and your balance should be empty. What we're going to do is we're going to add a total here, and we're going to work out the total of our incomes and our expenses and our balances. I'm sorry to apologise, should be below. So here they are here at the bottom here. So total, let's use the sum function to add up all of these. So again, functions and formulas start with, that's right, equals, and then we're going to use the function sum, and then we're going to double click, and we're going to select all of these, and then we're going to push the enter key. Again, repeat, so we're going to do equals sum, double click, and select all our expenses, and then the balance. This is where we're going to use the similar function that we've used, but what we're going to do is we're going to take away expenses away from income, and that's going to leave us with a balance here. So again, formulas and functions start with, that's right, equals. So we need to take this one minus, so take away this value here. So this box, our total income, take away our total expenses, enter, and so that is our total left over. Okay, so last thing to do, let's tidy this up, because 25, what's 25 here? It should be in pounds. These should all be in pounds. And we're going to try and make some of this stuff a bit easier to read. Income sheet, expenditure sheet, balance sheet. Show you a few formatting tips to help make this far easier to see. So let's go ahead and format this. First we're going to do, we're going to select total. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it bold. And then I'm going to select everything. I'm going to make everything a bit bigger. Okay, let's shift this over. What do I like? I like numbers in the middle. So let's center them all, put them in the middle of the boxes. And what's missing? These all should be in pounds. So let's go ahead and add them in pounds. So let's select all of my boxes, we're going to go up to here to General, and we're going to select Currency, and not in dollars. Let's change this to English. There we go, pounds. So that's what I've got left after my £1.20 breakfast. Obviously, as your expenses go up, so £5 for instance, £15, maybe $39.99 for a computer game. Oh yeah, we've gone into negative values here. What would be nice if this negative value, when it goes negative, changes colour. So this goes back to about conditional formatting, something that changes based on a condition. So this is the extension task. So before we do the extension formatting, make sure again, let's screen clip this into the right area. You can either use the screen clip function, or you can take a screenshot on your iPad and attach the file. So let's remind us all how to do this. So you can either screen clip, or save it, or screenshot it using your iPad, and it must go into an appropriate section. So this is task 3. Alright, so you should have a task 1, a task 2, and a task 3. So the last thing to do, conditional. So we're going to click on this value here. What we're going to do is we're going to colour it green if it's positive, so we've got money left over, and red if we haven't got money left over. So click on the cell that we're going to do this, go up to conditional formatting, and we're going to highlight a cell, and what we're going to do is we're going to click on greater than. So if it is greater than 0, we're going to fill it with green fill, and again conditional formatting, highlight, and then we're going to do less than on the same cell. So if it's less than 0, we're going to go for red. So we'll do light red fill, dark red text, and then click OK. So you can see there it's changed to red because it is a negative value. If we were to remove some of our expenses, and you can see it changes to £3.80. So conditional formatting allows us to have values on our spreadsheets which will change in reflection to adding additional things. So if I add some more to our expenses, again it turns to a negative value. So conditional formatting. So again, this is for the extension task. Screenshot and screen clip it into your OneNote down in extension tasks. Now for each of these screenshots that you have done, you now need to upload them to your Firefly. So you can attach all the files to your Firefly page, or you can screen clip your OneNote again and attach this to your Firefly page. So to make sure you can do this, you need Firefly open, and the task that's been set for you, this is where you need to select the task, and from there you can upload your work as a file. Thank you for watching. That's Excel basic functions for incomes, expenditures, and creating a balance sheet, which will be very helpful to see how much money you'll need to survive during this time. Thanks for watching.